All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Not done so already, give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, a really mixed tape today, whipsaw all over the place. And ultimately, we could be starting to see sort of the cracks here, or what I think is the beginning of the panic phase that we've been talking about here the last couple of weeks. And we're really starting to get into the window for that to happen. And what I mean by with panic is, really start to see some waterfall selling. Even the heavy sell-offs we've seen in the SPY lately, even last week, last Friday, last Thursday, they've been very orderly. Even yesterday, it's been very orderly. There's no big wild intraday swings where you're down 4 points in 20 minutes and then you're back up 3 points. That's the type of panic selling that we're looking at really happening by the end of the month. And I think we're starting to see the cracks of that. The big catalyst today was obviously the BoE. I'm sure everybody has heard by now. They basically came out and said, hey, we're going to stop doing QE by Friday, which is such a lie. But, that's what they said. And they also said, basically, pension funds, you got to figure it the F out before Friday. And that dumped the market. In the afternoon, we actually were recovering off the lows, had some nice little short covering rally. We tested the lows, filled the gap from last that Friday sell-off, at end of quarter Friday sell-off, 357, and then that dumped us to double bottom. They did manage to save it before the close, and so we did kind of finish with a little doji. I mean, they barely kept us off the lows there. You see the Great Britain pound there to US dollar taking a hit. Now, this is a fake print here. It will be very interesting if it ends up getting down there. And at this current time, you can't see why not if we were to have a panic phase. But take a look at the pound here. As soon as that news came out, bam, huge hit there. Now you're starting to see a little bit of a dead cat bounce. Starting to bear flag here on the 10-minute. Market is closed now, but Great Britain, GBP getting hit pretty hard. And when I say it was a mixed tape earlier, it's very, very weird. So SPY, this is an ugly, ugly SPY candle. Yeah, they saved it here. But, we talked about this recently. You came up here, 20 moving average rejection the whole way down. And now we're just, blasting off of that to the downside, essentially. So, yeah, they might have saved it here today. But a lot of weakness here in the SPY and in the triple Qs. So, again, triple Qs looking worse, actually closing at new 52-week lows. And you are into some interesting levels here on the Q. So that, you're into that pivot low from 921, 2020. Ultimately, I think this wants to get down to 230 and SPY to at least 340, maybe 320, somewhere in that range. But my point is, you have the Qs and the SPY getting hit really hard. And then we have the Russell 2000 unchanged. So exactly unchanged. You have the Dow up 12 basis points. So you had the Dow managed to scratch out a gain. We cover the Dow transports every day, but Dow transports managed to scratch out, a 3 basis point gain. So that was flat. XHB, we cover that all the time, up 20 basis points on the day. So there was some weird pockets of strength. XLV was green as well, up 0.5%. Little bit of weirdness going on there with that. I mean, there's just a lot of whipsaw. And not a full-blown sell-off here, but as far as a broad-based sell-off is concerned. But, if we look at the VIX, for instance, when this breaks, I think once this breaks here, that 35 handle, I mean, this is coiling up here. That's when you'll see the full red, everything down, everything panic selling, which I think we're close to. But it was definitely a weird tape today. Lots of whipsaw, and very interesting to see the Russell, close flat, the Dow close green. Just a weird tape today altogether. But bottom line, to me, it's just a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Maybe we hold up tomorrow ahead of CPI. Maybe we gap down tomorrow. If we gap down tomorrow, it's all bets are off. We're going to flush, if you ask me. But for the meantime, they did save it on, for the daily close here, at least on the S&P. And, market's hanging on by a thread. A lot of things coming into some key levels. Take a look at Tesla here. This is into a head and shoulder neckline. You close below that by Friday's close. On Friday's close, if that's breaking, that is triggered. So, Tesla coming into a key level here in Microsoft. into this 225 area. Ultimately, I think this wants 210 anyway, but Microsoft coming into this level. Take a look at the semis, absolutely getting spit roasted here. Now, you do have some support here, going back to that 2020 correction, but daily chart here, it's in free fall mode here. And, you know, they did pop it off the lows here, down another 3% today. So they did pop it off the lows a little bit at the end of the day. But ultimately, if you ask me, this is STFR, sell the rip here. If they give you a short squeeze, I would sell into that. I mean, I'm already positioned pretty short, as you guys are well aware. So I'm in a comfortable position right now anyway, but this is that little relief rally, that little save at the end of the day, I think that was a gift for anybody who wants to short this. Especially if we have a little bit more upside tomorrow and hold up into CPI. That's just my 2 cents. But anyway, you slice or dice it. I think we are on the precipice of that sort of panic phase. So anyways here, so semiconductors, talked about that. Again, basically in free fall here, and IGV as well. So now breaking that 52-week low again, little bear flag, try to get an outside move. 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Again, finished off the lows like the rest of the market, but still down 1.75% on the day, and now making fresh new 52-week lows there on IGV. The transports we briefly talked about, strangely managed to scratch out a $4 gain. Again, we'll be watching this trend line. Maybe you can try to push up. You know, here's your bull case. You know, if you do push through this somehow, you know, you could get back up to that 13.2 area and then 13.5. I don't think that happens. That I'm not in that camp, but that's your kind of bull case there currently. But transports, you know, give them a credit, give them a golf clap. They can close green in a wild market today. So we talked about. So let's get over to interest rates here. So TNX 10-year up 1.3% on the day. And the 30-year also up 1.4 as well. Now, if you look at the TLT, this was green, which may sound confusing, but remember the bond market was closed yesterday, and this got hit pretty hard yesterday as well. By the way, bonds, TLT did not really act like a safe haven when we got that news, so took a pretty good hit here. And if you look at the 2-year as well, it is bouncing off the lows, but that did fade as well. So bonds not acting as a safe haven. Now, you know, give it a slight benefit of the doubt, I guess. ZT here, the 2-year is green today, but I mean, this is not a pattern of strength, really, any way you look at it. So bonds still not acting as a safe haven, and again, that is going to be problematic for the market moving forward. By the way, HYG, another sector that was green today, but again, bond market closed yesterday, and it did take a hit, so kind of a little bit of a skew there. But we're watching the credit market here for sure, and especially that 2-year yield. There's JNK there, and LQD also at 52-week close as well. Home builders, so XHP, again, strangely outperforming here. So up 20 basis points, nothing crazy, but it is green in a down market. And, you know, it's holding up for now. It's actually above the 20 moving average. So, you know, it's in a better technical position than SPY. So we'll give that a golf clap. ITB up as well, up 1 penny, but hey, up in a down market. So definitely a little bit of a stronger performer. Now, VNQ was green today, finally getting a nice green day, up 1%. But really, this is more of an oversold, you know, kind of stretch reflex, if you ask me. We'll see if by the end of the week, if this can somehow recover, and maybe they can defend that 618 here by the end of the week. But this has definitely been on the weaker side, as we've noted. So real estate really taking a hit here, especially with that weak credit market. All right, XLF. Also, basically at 52-week lows, did not break here, but you can see towards the end of the day, when everything was bouncing, this did not really get a good bounce. JP Morgan here, really kind of just an inside bar. This didn't even bounce towards the end of the day, so kind of an inside bar bear flag set up there. So we'll be watching XLF and financials for weakness potentially into tomorrow. JPM fresh 52-week lows there. BAC basically getting to 52-week lows, pretty close. Goldman, more of a broker dealer. Again, broker dealers still holding up better, down 2% on the day. Let's look at Wells. Yeah, Wells, pretty good sell-off there. We'll be watching this trend line. Take a look here. Yeah, so we'll be watching that trend line there on Wells. So that, you know, you got a little head and shoulder there on Wells Fargo. Either way, it's really kind of a big case. This is all just bearish chop anyway. But anyways, we'll be watching XLF tomorrow, and financials. They did not bounce with the rest of the market as much into the final half hour or so. All right, so we covered, we've talked XLF, broker dealers. So let's look at crude here. So crude oil hitting a little bit of a bounce off the lows, but it did sell off with everything. So when that news hit, this got hit as well. And that's why I've been saying, like, hey, I do like crude here, but there is a chance that we could have a panic sell, and that could hit everything. You get margin selling. I mean, pension funds, margin selling. That's going to cause some serious problems. So we could see a good panic dump in commodities. Ultimately, I think that will be a buying opportunity. But for right now, nice little reversal there on crude. Again, kind of rejecting that trend line. And I said, this might be kind of a, I know it's peaking above that, but there's no confirmation yesterday. And we got a little bit of follow through to the downside here. So I think crude probably wants to head down a little bit here, especially, if we gap down on the SPY tomorrow, I think everything's going to be under pressure, really, no matter what. And that's just kind of the nature of it. But yeah, crude kind of getting hit off of that trend line. So no confirmation there. I do think that it is in pullback mode at the very least. XLE down 80 basis points here, but it did finish off the lows. And then, again, still a strong sector. Again, if it puts in a higher low, it can push up here. But again, the caveat is, if we have a complete puke meltdown, then everything's going to go down. This will just happen to go down less. I think energy is the place to be here. And that's something you want to be buying, once this market bottoms. These energy companies. XOP, same thing. Again, same trend line, backing off of that as well. OIH down 86 basis points here, but still holding up well, still above that 50 moving average, and had a nice daily candle in comparison to the rest of the market. Nat gas, again, nothing really changed here. Still just kind of bearish chop. We'll see what happens. This does march up to the beat of its own drum. It kind of trades on its own time a little bit, but managing to close out with a small gain on the day, but ultimately still bearish chop here on the daily. I'm still looking for one more leg down here in nat gas. Shifting gears over to the dollar, and the dollar had a nice rally, as you might imagine. A lot of it came obviously towards the end here, as it was negative earlier, which obviously coincided with that bounce that we got on the spiders. Makes sense. And then, of course, that news came out, caused the dollar to rip roar to the upside, finishing up just 15 basis points. But really, when you consider where it was before the news, it's a pretty big move. Again, we'll be watching that upsloping trend line, so that will be pushing higher. And again, I've told you guys, the measured move, ultimately I'm expecting this to get up to, 119, 120 anyway. So that would essentially, if you ask me, coincide with a panic move. I mean, how's the dollar going to get to from 113 to 120 by the end of the month? Panic. So that's kind of your scenario there. But for right now, dollar holding up, obviously gaining on the pound and just about everything right now, which is causing more geopolitical and macro problems. Gold here down just 10 basis points. So again, you can see here on the intraday, it took a pretty big hit along with everything else. And again, it's still positively correlated with bonds. So this will likely, if we have a panic, set up, like I've been mentioning, this will likely get a hit. Ultimately, that will give us what I think will be a long-term buying opportunity in precious metals. Silver holding up much better. It was down more than gold today, but again, it's a lot higher off the lows. So this trend line is now invalid. So that head and shoulders pattern is invalid now on the on spot silver, but still a nice little, a nice move off the lows. It is a pullback pattern here. Again, this can go lower if we panic, but ultimately I think it'll set us up with a buying opportunity. Platinum actually holding up much better though, much higher off the lows here. This is more of just kind of a pullback pattern. Again, same thing really applies though, to the panic setup essentially. So nothing's really changed there. I have pretty much the same analysis across the board, but platinum holding up a little bit better. And then palladium here also backing off. But again, in decent shape. And this has been kind of just a sideways chart for quite a while here. And then copper, lastly, really kind of a quiet day for copper. Actually, had a lot of whipsaw. Let me take a look at the intraday. Yeah, a lot of whipsaw there intraday, but still managing to finish off the lows, and it's really not down that much considering the news. So still inside of this channel. Again, break up, gets you back up to that 100 moving average in the short term, 370 area, and then a break lower could really cause a floodgate to open up here, especially if it is coupled with recession fears or default risk. So that's kind of your downside scenario there for copper. Anyways, Bitcoin, again, just continues to not do anything with this trend line. So it's almost like algorithmically pulling back here, which it probably is actually. Algo's doing this, but just a nice pullback right above that trend line. So it's not like breaking back below the trend line yet, but it's not confirming a breakout. It's just kind of grinding lower right on this area. So nothing really new has taking place here. But again, remember, big picture, big weekly bear base, big weekly setup. So definitely be careful with the coins here. And if we do have mass liquidations and stuff like that going on, I can't really see Bitcoin holding up here. It's going to trade kind of like leveraged NASDAQ. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. Let's take one more look at the spiders. So yeah, down 63 basis points on the day. Let's take a look at the futures here. So yeah, so futures basically just flat in the after hours. But again, 20 moving average has been resistance. We break this low, the floodgates open. We're looking for a 340, 320 SPY by the end of the month. Anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I'll talk to you all tomorrow.